Good morning and welcome to the Drummergy Podcast, episode 133. And today I've got with me my friend Matt Muckle, who's all the way across the United States in Pennsylvania.
Way out. Right? Sometimes in my head, like Mars or Pluto.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's 7 a.m. for me and 9 for Matt. And I think Matt's already up and has a bushy tail. My tail is not yet bushy. So
You're always bushy. Listen, you're always smiling and laughing. I love that. And that's why we're friends.
Oh, well, thanks, Matt. You and I connected quite a long time ago and stay in communication through the magic of the internet. And it's just really cool stuff. And for those out there who don't know, Matt is like a touring session drummer, producer, songwriter, teacher. Matt does it all. And he's just a really cool dude. And we're going to get into the whole world of Matt Muckle here momentarily. I see my buddy, another drummer friend, Jared Halleck is here. What's up, Jared?
Hi, Jared.
Yeah. So Matt, I like to start off with first of all, happy July. Today's July 1st.
Happy July.
And the 4th of July is my favorite holiday.
I love it. Yeah.
It's my favorite. It's complete mayhem in my neighborhood on 4th of July. And I don't need to spend an enormous amount of money on fireworks because my neighbors do it for me.
There's a thing like we'd laugh about. People didn't have money for their mortgages or like the kids look like shit coming to school. Okay. But they on the 4th of July, they had a garbage can full of fireworks and cheap beer, and they made sure that the lottery tickets were bought.
Yeah, exactly. I used to budget $100 for 4th of July when my kids were smaller.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're older and they're all
spread out.
They're with their friends or whatever. But holy crap, I know down the street from me there was a firefighter, a paramedic, and a city cop. They're all three neighbors.
Sort of a joke?
What's that?
Is that a sort of a joke? A firefighter, city cop, and a paramedic walk into a bar.
Maybe there's a Jewish person involved somehow.
Jewish lightning.
But dude, they had a semi truck pull up and unload like a big crate of I don't know, just insane amount. And it's like being at the fair. So
man, it's fun. Listen, holidays they've gotten so out of whack, and the concept of what's supposed to be really about is about unity and being with your family and friends.
Yeah.
Whether it be Thanksgiving, Christmas, or 4th of July, things have gotten so elaborate. People just, I enjoy the camaraderie of my friends and my family. I have a lot of people around me, and I'm very blessed. People lose that, and I appreciate the camaraderie and the communication, together and just enjoying each other. And I mean,
it just ends up this big block party. So your friends and your family are here, and you hang out with the neighbors, and
that's awesome.
Dog and
now, what's your favorite firework?
Oh, I wouldn't even know.
What's your favorite dinosaur?
The ones that work are my favorite.
Yeah, the ones that work. The ones that don't dud. Like, I love when you light it and it's like, and it's like, oh, it's a dud, and like you go walking up, there's like, boom, like
yeah.
I used to have this one. We saved it for years. We were so excited, so we're gonna wait for this one, and we said it was a thing this big, and it was called Light and Run.
Yeah, of course.
Honest to God, I can't make it up. We would laugh so hard. It was the biggest dud firework. We think it's gonna blow a hole in the ground this big. It was like you're like, this is the stupidest shit ever.
Yeah, I waited all this time for that.
I waited 2 years for this.
Yeah. Well, quick story. A few years ago, it was complete mayhem out here, and it was getting pretty late. And my buddy Anthony had brought over some fireworks, and somebody had given him. He didn't know what they were, and it was getting late, and we were just lighting stuff off as fast as you could.
Yeah.
he grabbed a mortar, not knowing it was a mortar, just set it on the ground and lit it. And that thing exploded on the ground. And I hit my leg really hard. Like
we need to keep your legs intact, okay? You understand? I mean, how many mishaps do we have to have with your legs? Just keep those connected.
I snapped my fingers.
Well, this is a funny story. We were I think Keith sent me the picture. I think it's one of the guys. So we were my second record deal. We were out on tour. We had CAA booking us, and we were with Buck Cherry. That's how I met the guys. And so I was in a band called Cinematic, and it was on Atlantic. But we were out with Kid Rock and Buck Cherry at the time. So we're down in Florida, and we pull off the side of the road. And like, I go to the tents everywhere on the side of the road, and they have the TNT. I go, listen, I said, where is the illegal stuff? Get me to the illegal stuff. I said, come back here. So takes me to the back. I buy all this crazy stuff. So I it's probably 150 pounds wet, maybe, at the time, 140. And so I'm in leather pants. I'm down in Florida after a show. I stick this bottle rocket, which is like 3 feet long, just slightly into the ground, tilted off a bush into like the parking lot island. Dude, I like this thing. And it's so funny because it's a picture of me lighting it. I'll have to send it to you. It's probably going to show up my memory somewhere on my Facebook.
Yeah.
I light this thing, and I go to back up, and I have these stupid Kiss boots on, like this high, okay? I hit the ledge of it, the island, fall back, okay? Dude, this thing falls over and kicks back. Dude, this bottle rips my shirt open, and I'm bear crawling on the cement and on the asphalt, trying to get away from it, and like leather pants, stupid. I mean, dude, I'm sure it was really funny. For me, a little scary at first. I laughed after. But I know the picture is floating somewhere and within, Facebook or something, but it's pretty funny. But you see me writing it, I'm like, oh, this is a great idea, like.
Yeah. Maybe it'll pop up since it's almost the 4th.
Stupid.
It's got to be there. You got to be
somewhere.
Yeah. Well, in addition to, so you're East Coast. I'm just guessing 4th of July is just unreal. I was in DC once for 4th of July, and it was incredible.
Beautiful. Yeah. Well, you know what? I'm going to tell you. Actually, it's a lot of white trash on 4th of July here in Pittsburgh, PA. It's a big. The thing, we luckily a lot of my friends have boats, and we go on the river and we hang out and get to watch the fireworks on the river and stuff.
Nice.
I'm going to tell you, I lived in Huntington Beach for almost 8 years, and it's the biggest. People camp out 2 days before on the side of the road on Main Street. It's the biggest. How do they say this? Now, it may have changed, but it was the biggest parade they had from the west of Mississippi for the 4th of July.
Oh, wow.
So, so massive. I mean, so I got to tell you this story. So we would go. So no, to answer your question, no, it's not as big as Huntington Beach. So I would run this thing where, so I played in some like cover, like when I was in touring, I used to play with this dude, Eric Dover, he was in Alice Cooper, and he sang for Slash's Steak Pit, and a few of my buddies, like, Zach and like my buddies from Survivor and stuff like that, we'd play on Sunday nights. Well, then people would have parties during the 4th of July. So we would you couldn't drive. The Main Street was blocked off for like 2 miles. Okay. So I would the people wanted you to play their parties. So we would play parties from like 10 a.m. till like 12 at night. And we would make so much money. So we would travel with our bass guitars and walk from house to house. You couldn't drive. And I made sure PAs were set up. They ran on PAs, and there was back. So we'd jump from party to party and play for like 12 hours, man, that day, and make a bundle of money. Like, because you know what I mean? You couldn't drive, so there was backline and PA. I think I want to say Dizzy Reed did 1 year with us and hung out, and dude, we had a lot of fun,
Oh yeah. Well, that's memories forever and ever, man. That's great.
It was fun. It was like you enjoyed the day. It was definitely like I said, But if you want to go party on 4th of July, go to Huntington Beach. That is
Huntington Beach. That's the place.
Yeah.
Well, couple more goofy holidays, and then we're going to get into kind of your body of work. But today is International Joke Day, which doesn't that seem strange? I mean, isn't that April Fool's?
That would make sense.
Yeah.
About 3 months off. I'm just saying.
Yeah. I mean, if we really wanted to go off the rails, if this show was happening tomorrow is World UFO Day. We're not alone.
What do you know about UFOs?
I don't know anything about it. I like the X-Files.
Well,
and the mystery of that, the
was
show.
Company was that his first big gig?
I don't know if it was his first big gig, but that's how I know of him. Yeah. So I don't know. I have seen things in the sky that I was like, what was that?
Yeah.
And I was like, was that just my mind, or I don't know.
Am I out of my Vulcan mind?
Well, Matt, let me tell some people, like,
can you do that? Can you do that with your hand?
Yes.
Oh, nice. I can't do it this way. Right. I can do it with my left hand, but my right hand not so much.
Oh, come on, Matt, you're almost there. You can do it.
This is the one where I think I broke when I got in a fight a few times.
Okay.
And also,
yeah.
My right doesn't bend. This is the jab hand, like
that's right.
Hey.
Your other hand's defective.
Yeah,
let me see your ears. Are they pointy?
Yeah, like cauliflower, like a big ear over here. No, but I'm Irish, so my dad would say, "Do not get hit. You're gonna bleed like a pig. Make sure you throw the first punch." Yeah.
I've never been in a real fight before.
God bless your heart.
Can you believe that?
You come from a nice area.
It is.
Yeah.
But I have friends that are scrappers, man. I'm just not that guy.
Well, I came from an area. It's called Spring Garden. So, I lived up on the hillside from there.
Yeah.
And we call it. It's just not a nice area. We should call it Spring Garbage or Spring Gutter. So, yeah, I got keyed in the face, hit with a bat, you name it. We've dealt with it.
Oh man,
friends are really tough. I'm kind of a sissy compared to them, but yeah, and no joke in that area. So yeah, we had some issues, back in the day. Yeah, well, we moved from there, so we're good now. No more keys in the face. You know what I mean?
There you go. Yeah, I just hurt myself in accidents is all. I don't get in a fight with concrete.
You do.
Yeah.
The thing is, you're doing great though.
I am. It's been 11 months now. I'm getting smoother in my walking, which is great. I do have certain days where the swelling starts to really kick in again, but my doctor said I could expect that for another 6 months or so.
Well, yeah, you're doing great. We're praying for you, and
I appreciate that.
Man, your attitude is everything. I mean, and anything. You have a great perspective and attitude, and that's probably helping out quite a bit, in your family.
Yeah, I thank you for that. I'm mostly an upbeat person all the time. I do have my moments, as does everybody. But I just know, if you let your mind go, your body kind of follows.
Absolutely. Yep.
So if you're down in the dumps, that's where your body ends up too.
You're actually right about that.
Yeah. You, I would say I had my close family and friends that always check on me, but 3 people that checked on me frequently was you and Matt Starr and Brian Hitt from REO Speedwagon would.
Yeah.
Just, hey man, how's it going? Are you doing okay?
Yeah. You find out, man. People, there are some caring people, and those are the people you want to latch on to and stay in touch, because it's genuine. We truly care.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, man. It was so awesome of you to check in on me and see how I was doing, and so awesome. It says a lot about a person's character.
Yeah, that's kind of anything we have, right?
Yeah. James Harrison is here. Hey, James.
Hi,
James
James.
in Virginia.
Stay with us, please. Hold our hand. Hold me. It's morning still.
Matt, so I just wanted to tell people like some of the stuff that you've done, playing with Kristin Chenoweth. I think that was my first introduction to you. If memory serves me correctly, I saw you on Jay Leno drumming for Kristin.
Wow.
Is that correct?
You know, I wasn't. Here's a funny story about that. I don't mean to interrupt you, but here.
Oh, go ahead.
That was a very interesting gig. She was not difficult. She was very sweet to me, very nice. It wasn't that. Sony Records, you signed her. She never wanted to sing the song that was on the radio, the hit song or the promoted song. So she changed up songs on us. We're doing like Leno, Kimmel, the Country Awards, and Dance with the Stars, all these shows, and she would just change the song, and we rehearsed like in mates or whatever.
Oh yeah.
She'd want to change the day of the show. So that song, that wasn't supposed to be played. There's no drums on that song. So the music director, Brent Woods, and Bob Held, they were like, dude, we're gonna run down to the guitar store and get you a shake. What are you gonna play on here? And she says, well, I was like, well, I don't know. There's no drums. She said, we gotta have Mucky on playing drums. So I'm on there with a shaker and like a tambourine and a hi-hat and a side stick, and it looks like I'm like holding a cell phone, like taking a selfie with a shaker. So I was supposed to play, but then she changed the song and there's no drums on that song. So I had to come up with the drum part on the spot on Jay Leno that morning. I mean, it was not that it was it wasn't like, math rock I was doing, but however, I had to come up with something to play on national TV that was never on the album, you know what I mean, or rehearsed. So, yeah.
Whenever I see an artist play, of course, I always gravitate towards the drummer first. That's where my attention goes.
Yeah.
And that's pretty cool. And then I think she had done that movie RV.
Yeah.
There's somewhere in kind of in a similar time frame, and so she was being seen a lot.
Yeah, like 4 Christmases, and then it was like she was on Glee at the time as well. She was doing really well, and it was after Wicked. So that band was that was like an all-star band. It was funny because all the guys who played in that band were like, so it was like Brent Wood from Gene Simmons' band, and and Sebastian Bach and Robbie Crane from Rat, and like Warrant and stuff like that, and Derek Sherinian from he's the keyboard player for everybody. And Jude Gold, the head editor for Guitar Player magazine, who's now in Jefferson Starship. We had all these top-notch players, and it was like none of us played. We played all these touring bands and all these big bands. We're like the 4th, 2nd, 8th member that was in that band. It was like before it was like after it was famous,
Yeah.
Never played on those big TV shows, really. So. We kind of got put together, and it was really cool, to have that experience. I look back at that and smile because it's like, playing a lot of pretty big bands that just didn't make. They were already around for 20 some years. They're past that point of playing on a big late night talk show or on an award show. You know what I mean? We were blessed enough to get that chance.
Well, I'm pretty confident that was the first time that I became aware of who you were, and I think, man, I'm how many years ago was that? Do you even have a guess? 15?
I think 2000. Yeah, 2011, 12. I think we did I think it was 11 and 12. I stuck around with her a little longer than the rest of the guys. She had an East Coast band and then the West Coast band. So she did like The View, and we traveled. I can't recall. We did a bunch of late night talk shows, and then so yeah, I think it was probably that 12 and 13 maybe era. But no, 11 and 12. I think that's what it was. I think, but you're probably right. It was probably in that time frame, 14, 15 years. I mean, it's a long time ago.
Yeah. I think it's been 12 or 13 years ago now, I was down in LA and I recorded a record with James Lomenzo and Keith St. John called X Drive. And so I was going down to LA quite a bit. And so through Keith St. John, that's how I met Matt Starr, and just like that world of musicians, which included you. And so just, I like drummers, so I gravitate towards drummers, of course.
Yeah.
And it's good stuff. So you've also John Waite, Gilby Clarke, George Lynch, Buck Cherry, Paul Gilbert, and now you're with Kingdom Come.
Yeah.
Dude, you're getting around.
I'm a hooer. Am I a hooer?
You're a drummer, Uber drummer.
Pretty blessed. I mean, to play with some of those guys. I mean, they're on my bedroom wall as a kid. Alan, and then there was definitely I was a big fan of Paul Gilbert and Mr. Big. I really loved Mr. Big, and I remember funny. I remember sitting or being at their opening for Rush in 1992, and I remember watching him play in an amphitheater when I was in high school, and I said to my friends, I said, I'm going to play drums for that dude someday.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, cool, Muckle, and fast forward, 15 years later, I'm playing drums on Paul Gilbert's album, his solo album, and I was like, wow, talk about manifesting and saying things and believing, say it's power in words,
Well, let's get into that a little bit. So, I think some of the standard stock questions that people ask is like, when did you get started playing music? And I would just assume that you got involved with drums when you were pretty little, and you just love that instrument. It's same with me. But at some point we crossed this line of like, I want to do that for the rest of my life. Like, I want to be involved with that. So what was that moment for you?
I think I knew when I first saw Kiss on TV. I'm maybe like 3 years old, so I'm 51 now. So Kiss came out when I was born, first in '74. I was already playing drums. My cousin lived up the street from me. He was the one that got me started playing. My cousin Alan Muckle, and lived 3 doors up from me. And he played in a cover band that played 5 nights a week. They did the Holiday Inn circuit. That was a big thing back in the day. Holiday Inn had bands, and you'd set up on. I think it's set up on Monday morning, and you played Tuesday through Saturday every week. And it was like a bunch of Holiday Inns. And so my cousin was playing. I already started playing drums at like maybe 2 years old. From what I was told. So I'm going by what people told me, my family and whatnot. But I remember seeing Kiss, and it was on an award show. I think it was. I don't know if it was the Grammys but it was a TV show, and I watched them smash stuff. And I was at this young age. I don't know what it is. I'm pretty good at art. I was good at pencil sketching and stuff, and I'm really into like horror movies and rock and roll and art. And I'm watching Gene Simmons like spitting blood, and I was like, oh, this is the most. I was scared and intrigued. I was like, I didn't know what I felt at that age. But I remember that was that's a pretty vivid memory, watching that on TV, and taking my mom's Tupperware containers and like stacking them around the TV, hitting with like spoons,
Right.
But I had drumsticks, so then then I'd go up the street with my family and with my cousins let us play the drums, me and my brother, and so yeah, I knew at the age probably 4 or 5 that I wanted to play music for a living, and
wow.
And I knew that. I knew that. I don't want to do anything else. But I played football and baseball, and you get to that point. How good are you going to get, and how tall are you going to get? I'm 5'8" with Kiss boots on. You know what I'm saying? Like how far am I going to go here at this? Yeah. So that was. I think it was, and then when I heard my parents, like, they're born again Christian. They didn't believe. They thought Kiss was the devil. Kiss was service. I'm like, sign me up. But to me, it never scared. It just, it was never Peter Criss. It was never that. It was Gene Simmons. I wanted to be him behind the drum set, I loved everything about that. It was like larger than life, pun intended. But so it was that, and then I think when the first time I heard "Running with the Devil," I was about 5. My dad just bought a new car, and his Caprice Classic, and I remember driving to. There was only one speaker. It was on the passenger side. The back speaker had one speaker. It was on the passenger side, and my mom and dad are in the front seat, and I hear woo, 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 and I was like, I was like, what? My head was like,
Yeah, how could you not like that?
And it wasn't the drums; it was the guitar. I was like, this, like, so I was like, I've been a frustrated guitar player my whole life. Thankfully I can play enough to know there's 12 chords and I can write a song. But I was already playing drums, so I was stuck. And I was like, well, my parents were gonna buy me a guitar. I got a Ringo Starr drum kit. Okay, I have a Ludwig 1964, and we're gonna go with it. And so, but that was the thing that I was like, what is this? And I'm like, running with the devil. I'm like, dude, that was it. And so it went from Kiss to Van Halen, and I was like, Led Zeppelin, and those are my staple.
Yeah.
Staple.
So you're pretty little, but let's like jump, like fast forward to like mid high school, where you're like, I don't know, between like 16 and 19, somewhere in there, you had to be like,
well, my baseball coach, my high school baseball coach, he was big influence on me, and he was, he thought, well, I found out he's a musician. He's, well, I got to go to band practice. And he was pretty young. He was probably, maybe at the time, 24. I was 16. So, and he was really cool dude, man. And he was an amazing coach, baseball player. Went to, excuse me, sorry. Yeah. So he took a liking in it, and he was really encouraging. He's like, I play drums. He's like, Muckle was like, dude, you can crush a baseball, dude. You're gonna get into college. Just music thing, don't worry about it. Well, then he thought, I'm a 16-year-old kid. What can I do? So I give him. I didn't have a blank tape. I said, I'm gonna show you I can play. So I didn't have any blank tapes in my house. So I took. My friend left a Warrant tape in my house. That dirty, filthy, rotten, stinking, rich out.
Yeah.
So I took masking tape and taped over the top, you see that
over the hole.
Holes, yeah. And I played, I think my favorite group of all time, still now, is I Love It Loud from Kiss. That's the best drum sound to me ever, gosh, and just rock that shit, man. Like, I mean, boom, crack, effing pay me, boom, that's the money beat,
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and then did Good Times, Bad Times. He's like, so I give it to him, and he's like, so he's asking the other baseball players, and he's like, hey guys, this ain't Muckle playing drums, is it? And they're like, yeah, dude, he's playing since he was like 2, 3. And he's going, dude, I don't believe it. This ain't him, And he was in like 2 bands, original bands, and pretty successful, bands were in the area. So I'm 16, and he says, I'm gonna come to your house. We're gonna jam after baseball practice. I was like, oh, right. So I never really playing a band, like, I'm playing by myself, practicing every day. So that's where it started, man. He was like, you want to come record next week in the studio with me? And I was like, yeah. So I went straight down down the street from his house in his basement recording studio and recorded a song with him. And that's where it all started. And I started playing in original bands. I never did the cover band thing until I moved back to LA. Like, after DJ Ashburn Buck Cherry thing fizzled and I moved back out there, I was in signed bands, and I moved back out there. I didn't play in cover bands till all my friends were like, yeah, it's a total different game out here now. You got to play cover songs when you're not touring, because the tours are not what they used to be.
Yeah.
So I was like, what are you talking about? So, but there you go. So, but I was playing in the original bands up until I got my first record deal, like in 1998. So I was, I won from a few bands. I think my second original band who I stuck it out with, we got a deal with Atlantic in late '98, from Pittsburgh. And we were really big in the area. I was in the region, and we ended up getting a deal. And I quit after I knew it was gonna. I could see the direction was changing and things were getting weird. And I was like, yeah. And I jumped ship and got another deal with a massive deal with Atlantic, with a band from Ohio, and just kept running with it. You know what I mean? And just jumped from one band to the next. It was signed or whatever, and you know how it goes.
Yeah, and then those people start hearing about you and inquire, and then see you and hear you, and like, yeah, this guy's amazing, and he's cool to be around, right?
Well, I don't know about that back then. I'm a lot to handle sometimes. I mean, with this, back then I was severe ADHD. You don't know how your mind, like if you have, your mind is going 20 steps before, like, past the person you're already taught. Like, you're already thinking 20 things past them. So it's a very strange dynamic. You start to think that you're a bit crazy because no one's on the same level. So you're thinking you have all these different facets and things you can do, and someone's staying focused on one thing. And like I already talked about this 20 minutes ago. Where are you? You know, and you're already past it. And they're like, wait, we're here now. I'm like, well, I'm there. So like, are you gonna catch up with me? So, I mean, it's a lot. It's as you know, it's not so much how great of a musician you are. It's actually the hang.
Yeah.
Can someone handle you? Can you be on a tour bus with somebody? Are you kind? Are your intentions great? Do you know how to give people their space? Do you know how to shut up? When you need to. So when you play for somebody who's you're playing for somebody like John Wade or someone's established or George Lee, you gotta know that they're the boss, and you sit on your phone and shut up and put a piece of duct tape over your mouth and let people spoken to. You know what I mean? You just do out. That's all.
Yeah. Well, I think that's whatever level it is that you're playing music. It's you got to know when to zip it.
I learned it. Like, I'm not the producer and everything. I'm not the songwriter. So, no matter how bad their ideas are, if they're the ones who are paying you, you just shut your mouth and say, okay, well, what I'm going to do my very best. What this is what I can bring to the table, and you approve it or not, or you tell me what to play. And so it's just, you got to learn. You just got to wear different hats, and people can acclimate you to your. You have to acclimate to people's vibe. Yeah. But sometimes people want the crazy Matt Muckle to go in and do it in one take and kill it. And they're like, just do what you need to do. And then there's people that want to control it and say, hey, I want this. And that's fine. So this is where you find out. And your pay scale, it's always going to be, you can start here, but your pay scale, I don't agree with some of the guys that talk. I mean, maybe I'm delusional, but you got to work with people, and meet them where they're at. And say, well, hey, you're trying to keep someone's dream alive, also still make a living. So right. you want to agree to somebody's, here's my pay scale. Here's where I start, can you meet me here? Okay. Always ask what their budget is. And I try to get an idea and acclimate where they're at. And if it's something that's so far, too low, I can't, then I said, I just can't do it for that. That's fine. But you learn. Everyone's at different spots in their lives, and you have to know that you have to sometimes, you gotta set your bracket and say, this, I can go here, but I won't go under here. You know what I mean? It's
yeah.
So,
in relationship to like what I was thinking about as you were telling me that, because I've been paying attention to your career for a while, and I'll see that you're in LA doing something, and then you're in Nashville doing something, and then you're doing stuff at home, and you're moving around. You're doing stuff like.
I'm not lying.
No, I know you're not. I just what
out loud. Like, are you really there? I'm like, yeah, I'm flying back. I'll be back tomorrow, or I'll be
yeah. But my question is, so is that you're just all self-sustaining, or do you have like a manager or an agent or something that's helping with that stuff, or is it just all Matt Muckle Incorporated?
Oh, it's mostly me. I do have a wonderful, really good friend and manager. We call him Stripes. He used to be a NHL hockey referee. I mean, this dude, he's so buttoned up to the top button of the collar, and he knows. He's just very just thankful for him to be my manager for Kingdom Come and a band I write and produce for and tour with Six Gun Sally. So he's working with both of those bands, and he's a tour manager for a lot of he's always on tour. So, but he's been the guy that when I need stuff sent out to companies for endorsements, this, that, the other, he's the one that sends it out and takes care of stuff, Okay. But primarily when it comes to being Matt Muckle as a session drummer and this, that, the other, or playing regional gigs, I'm the one that takes care of everything, and it's a lot. What happens for me lately, because I'm booking a lot of the bands I'm playing with. Out of the 8-9 bands I play with, there's 2 nationals, and or maybe 3 sometimes. I'm booking probably 3 out of the 5 trip bands I'm working with, and so it kind of takes some of the fun out of playing. And then you're dealing with one person in the band that thinks they can act like a rock star. And I try to explain to these local guys, listen, rock stars don't act like rock stars. They're businessmen. They come in and they're kind and they're not difficult. And I find that sometimes my local people are a little more difficult than the national people. So I just got to remember where I'm at and try to stay as calm as possible. That's not easy. That's not a very achievable thing for me. I'm not a calm person. I get shit done, and it's got to get done, and then we got to move. Time is money, and that's it. And I don't have a lot of time for shenanigans anymore. So
right.
It takes some of the fun out of playing lately. Although I do have some booking agents to kind of book somebody to help out, but I wish I could just hand it all over to them. But sometimes that doesn't really that's not in the stars. Sometimes, you know what I mean?
Have you always had a business mind from the get-go, or did you go through that whole kind of flippant attitude towards everything, and somebody came along and had to smack you around and say, "Look, you got to wise up"?
Yeah, I've had to be smacked around a few times. Yeah. And if you don't, I'm the guy that asks for forgiveness rather than permission. It's just how whether I remember playing baseball and my coach, third base coach is giving you signs and telling me to take a pitch. Take the pitch, dude. If that ball is coming across here, I'm smashing it, dude. I'm going for it. I'm not. I'm like, and like you can tell me later. I told you this, and I'm like, I told you this. I'm on second base. I just drove 2 runs in. Okay, so that's where that kind of, and it doesn't work most of the time. Okay, so I'm not saying I'm not telling people to do that. I'm just saying it worked for me. If I didn't do what I had to do to make things work, I was the one that had the mind frame and in that mid '90s, early '90s, the labels were starting to dissipate a little bit. There were still labels, not as bad as 2002, 2003, or whatever.
Yeah.
But I knew that I had to sell 5,000 copies of my album regionally for record labels, and I had to get my song on an independent record promoter to take it to college stations and get it played, so it charted through CMJ, and so record labels would look at the magazine and say, "Who's this band Seventh House out of Pittsburgh, man, who sold 5,000 records on their own?" Right. Wait a minute. So, and I had a little publicist who got me in magazines. I knew, and I built a street team. I built a street team of people, man, of kids. I didn't want to play in front of adults because I thought, I was 20, 21 years old, and I want to play for kids, jumping off the stage diving and beating each other crowd. I don't want to sit with people drinking beer in the back and trying to hook up with somebody. I was like, dude, I want to play in front of 2,000 kids rather than 100 guys and girls sitting there drinking beer and trying to be cool. So,
Yeah.
so I knew what I needed to do to get that happen. So I worked with a big promoter. I still work with him, Rich Engler from the Caesar Engler. And he put me on some huge shows, some really big shows in the Pittsburgh area, like amphitheater shows. And he put me out opening for Bob Seger, 18,000 people, and then put me in front of like 10,000 people for, I think, Duran Duran. And we were like a heavy alternative band, you know?
Yeah.
And kind of blew the press, the little stories that happened. And then I think it was Garbage that kind of put us, we opened up for them. That was the thing that kind of, you know, put us on the map. And then I'd go and do a meet and greet, and I'd sit with all, like, any cute girl, any cool looking dude. I was like, hey man, you want to be part of my street team? I'd get their name and number and their address. I'm like, hey dude, I'll put you on the guest list for next show. I need you to sell 15 tickets for a show. So I had a street team of people that were like out working for me, and they were excited to be a part of something. And we're doing the 1,500 seat club where all the nationals came in, and we're selling it out. Okay. And on my own, I mean, I came up with that. I was like, dude, I'm gonna make this happen. And so all the other band members started doing the same thing. You know, got their little street team together, and then we compiled it together, and we'd send out 5,000 postcards in the mail. We're playing a show here in Pittsburgh and in Cleveland and in Erie and all those areas, and we just send them. And then our street team of people would meet them at like coffee shops or whatever and say, hey, here's your 15 tickets. It would have like 5 different school districts coming in and meeting us. So it was like a homegrown, man, like,
yeah,
you know, business. And, you know, that's how I got my first record deal, and then I knew that I was charting, and then it kind of, other bands started seeing you're out touring, and they pick you up, you know, and they see you playing. Like, it's like anything, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it took a 1 or 2 to get on my feet and make it happen. And so I don't know. It's like either innate, you have a passion for it, and like, this is how it needs to happen. No one's going to do it for me, so I got to figure this out. So
yeah,
that's, you know.
Well, I was about to ask this question, and you answered it. You said that the rest of the band members got on board with doing the same thing.
Yeah.
I've been in some situations where it's just like I feel like I'm doing all the work, and everybody else is just sitting back, and it's like, this isn't going to last for long.
You know what? You need each other. I mean, dude, I'm so thankful. I couldn't go out and sing like some of my singers. I couldn't play guitar and I'm very, very gracious and thankful for them. I mean, I always encourage them. There are some people that are difficult to encourage. They're in my bands.
Yeah.
You can probably imagine. And they make things difficult more than they need to be. And they complicate things. But on the most part, you know, we're all in the same boat. We try to travel on, you know, and try to, let's keep oaring the same direction. Don't, you know, activity is it's just the most debilitating thing you can, you know, and you can imagine. Like, it's like, you got one person that's just so combative. It's a cancer. You have the cell wall, membrane, nucleus, okay? You get someone pounding through that wall, a membrane and wall, okay? Dude, they're going to make your cell cancerous and extracted, you know? And it's hard, man. Sometimes you need them, but there's, you know, you're always thinking like, dude, if I could replace you, you know?
It's like having a flat tire on your car. Will it still go down the road? Yeah, not very well, but.
Yeah, not well. Yeah, and it's just, there is that person, and not always, but, you know, it's not to be negative. It's just, I'm just being very honest, you know.
Yeah.
Being, you know, can you imagine? I played in 9 different bands within 5 weeks. I mean, can you imagine the personalities I have to deal with? So I try to be loving and helpful, and, you know, I'm very emotional, very, very passionate. So I want to do the best I can for people all the time, because I treat people the way I want to be treated, you know?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you're really driven, and you show up prepared, and you do your thing and do it well and personable, but you don't lose the business part of that
Yeah.
You still have...
Could you add another 0 to that number? And make sure you spell my name correctly on that check.
Yeah.
Or the PayPal or Venmo. Make sure it's there. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Let's add 2 zeros to that end.
Yeah, well, while you're at it,
Yeah.
So yeah, it is. I won't go out and play. I don't play for free. I kind of stopped doing favors for people. They start taking advantage, and I love them. I'll send them somebody who will go out and say, and I'm never. I mean, look, I understand if you don't have a budget, on budget, but there gets to the point where someone just, I'll say, hey, listen, I'll say, hey, here's a student or here's a guy that's looking to play. I'm going to send you somebody, that will do that. And I just, my time's valuable, like your time and anyone else that's put time at their craft,
Yeah, James Harrison just commented, everyone is replaceable, and that's so true.
It is.
But I don't want to be the guy being replaced because I didn't do my part.
Absolutely. There's always someone better than you. It doesn't matter. Just put the ego aside and do your very best, and just try to be kind, for a second. And, right, everyone is, look, man, there's so many better drummers than me, man. know?
Yeah, on that. So, like, there's a gazillion of us can go, do, but once you're, like, for that, 45 minutes to 2 hour or whatever period of time, like, what kind of person are you when you're not on the stage?
That is, like we said, integrity and character is everything, and attitude, man. Then you put those two together, and there's accountability. There's, you got to be accountable for your actions and be on point, and just try to be pleasant. And there's some people that are just weird, but then like they're different. I shouldn't say weird, but unique in their own way. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm very friendly, and I think I'm very fun-loving. But hey, I might not be someone's cup of tea. They don't like that. A national act just told me, and I won't tell you who said it. Like a '90s or early 2000 band asked me to go on tour with them. They were doing one-offs, these festivals, and the lead singer said to me, "Could you not be so bright and happy?" And I was like, I don't know how to take that. I don't understand. Yeah, we're dark. I'm like, ooh, you scare me. I'm like, fuck out of here, man. I'm just like, nah, man. Hide it under a bushel. No, I'm gonna let it shine. I'm going back to Sunday school, okay?
Yeah, exactly.
No, man, I'm not gonna act like I'm some weirdo guy liner dude and scary and mysterious dude. You're 50-some years old. It's time to play your song. Go to your, that's okay. I didn't say anything. I said no. Oh, if I'm not a good fit, I'm not a good fit. So there was only 4 dates for the summer, and it was kind of a buddy of mine who plays guitar for them, who I love. He was a big fan of my band, Cinematic. It just kind of we were laughing because I was like, that's I never heard that before. So like, yeah, I mean, I kind of took it as a compliment, like, oh, wow. So I got a good positive vibe. So yeah, I'm just going to do what I do. I'm not going to change for somebody of my character and try to be like, I'm demonic and scary. Like I'm like, dude, whatever. You know what I mean? It's weird.
A jerk up the street will be happy to go drum for you.
Yeah. And like, look, you're going to find somebody to come up for half the price. Call some young kid that's going to, out in LA that looks, it's 100 pounds and, puts guy liner on, looks like, androgynous, and go do that. That's what you need to do. So it's just not the fit. That's not what I'm going for. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. You're this energetic, upbeat dude. And I've seen a lot of videos of you play, and I think you and I both have a very similar style of playing. And I've never worked in New York, and I haven't worked in Nashville. I've worked in LA, but I want to get what your thoughts are, like the not the culture, but like this, like, is there a stylistic difference of New York drummers versus Nashville drummers versus LA drummers?
Of course, I think, yeah. There's a in my there, every city has their low grade, mid grade, and I think the Swiss Army drummers, they can play anything and it's believable. It does the job. They can do the job, and you have New York to me has an older vibe.
Uh-oh.
Can you see me?
There you are.
Sorry, someone was calling me. A drum student.
Oh.
Hi, Bob. If you're there's an old jazz. It's in Elmiston, Nate. There's a classier, deeper rooted musicianship to me, in my opinion, in New York than there is in LA. There's a lot of glitz and it just is, a little more pseudo-esque energy out West Coast.
Yeah.
New York, but shut up and play this thing, sometimes,
Uh-huh.
saying to me, at Nashville, there's just, I think you have the best of the best in Nashville. So you have, there are so many players down there now. And there's a lot of work. There's just, I just think the better players have migrated to Nashville, the real players, you know what I mean? Because that's where most of the work's at, It's so insane down there now. It's so touristy. It's actually, I feel like I'm in Disneyland down there of drunk adults.
Uh-huh. Well, speaking of like touristy, like in Nashville, have you ever participated in playing the Lower Broad?
I just can't do it. I can't do the 4 hour.
4 hour shift.
The sorority girls. I'm a crazy bitch. Play crazy bitch. And I'm like, dude, I get away from, it's just the whole drunkenness of that, and it's just too much. It's a playground for ex-sorority girls and frat brothers that go down there that like pro country thing, and they bring their big trucks and their and it's cool and all. And listen, I'm not judging it. It's just not my thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's gotten so insane with like people there. It's just a party. It's like a northern Mardi Gras, 24/7.
Okay.
That's what I describe it. But no, they're really good players there,
Yeah. Yeah.
So in my opinion, not saying I always say my 2 cents most of the time is only worth a penny. But I'd say the better players are down in Nashville. They can play kind of everything. In LA, listen, it's all relative, but I think most of the players, they left LA since COVID. People just I think people had it, and it's so expensive. Now Nashville's getting expensive, man,
Is that because you were in LA for a while, or is that when you moved back to Pennsylvania, was during COVID?
No, I moved back to Pittsburgh in 2000. I think it was like 2014.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's been a while. After I just saw some of the writing on the wall. I was like, man, what? I saw what I was making with some of the national acts and being out on the road with them, and I'm like, wow, man, I make more money playing for this band Aeromith in LA. They're making $5 to $10 grand a night, and I can play in a tribute band and make $1,000 a night, rather than make $450 with whomever who I'm playing with. I'm not throwing anyone on a bus, but I needed to make money. I wanted to make money. I didn't want to saying I'm in some national act, to say I'm just in a national act. I know what they were making, and I don't want to make that money. I wanted to make twice as much money, So that's why I kind of gear myself towards. I got away from it, and wanted to. I said, well, how can I make the most money at this? I don't want to drive a crappy car. I want a nice car. I want a nice place.
Yeah.
So I want to go and say I play for this band, and they're only making $400 a guy a night, or I can make it 800 to 1,000, and play with, and sleep my own bed at night, and maybe when you drive 3 hours away, and you know what I mean, or you know what I mean? Because, so I kind of saw that. I did. So when I got to play like on the Letterman, Kimmel, and Leno's show, and the Country Awards and Google's headquarters and all this stuff, all these shows, and I'm watching all my friends who have been living out there for 30 years almost, doing the same thing that I achieved within a few years' time out there. I was like, where do we go from here? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where do we go? And then I knew that I had to play cover songs, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I found myself like, well, I can play covers at home and make more money, and being next to my mom and dad and my awesome family, So I moved back around 2014. So that's where I kind of, and I traveled, and I was going back and forth a little bit. I'd get some gigs out in LA, but I kind of steered clear of the national acting for me. Now I'm digging back into it. So, I did get called to go out with a band. I can't really say who it is right now. They're from the 80s, but they're really good. They sound incredible. They're out on tour right now. So their drummer is going to need a break in August and September for some dates. So
yeah,
I'll let you know when that happens.
Well, that'd be cool.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a fun band. They sound great, and they're out with all my buddies. They're like my buddies from Trickster, and Enough's Enough. They're all nice people. They go out together and tour, and there's just they seem to get. I like that camaraderie, and everyone's very, very very nice to one another. It's hard.
Have you played with Enough's Enough before? Did you drum for them ever?
For them, no. Okay. I love Chip, man. I got to hang around him a few times. He's a blast. No, I never did. Tori, my buddy Tori was playing for him. He left. I think he was with Tori's with them for 17 years. So he's I know a lot of guys that played in the band, and throughout the years. Like the guys from Faster Pussycat, Chad's an awesome guy. Those guys are out doing it. They all get along, and it's so nice to see that, man.
Yeah.
That's what I want to achieve. I want to go out and do something like that. Of course, a bigger level would be great, but but I'm being realistic. There's. I work with another guy. Do you know the comedian Dave Hill? Do you know him?
What's his last name?
Dave Hill. It's Hill.
I'm not sure if I do. It doesn't sound familiar.
So he's newer, dude. He is fabulous. So he plays a shredder, and he is the funniest, most brilliant comedian. And I get to go out with him once in a while and do some he's out. He'll out for Pantera and Tenacious D, his comedy, and he goes out and shred and he'll bring me up and kind of rip on me while we're playing. And the guy is brilliant. And I think I'm out this month sometime and out in the Midwest some date. I think either in Kentucky somewhere. I think in Louisville, Kentucky. So, but he plays, he goes out and he does these theaters and little clubs and they pack these places, and he is freaking brilliant, fabulous. It's like acts like he's kind of on the spectrum a little bit, like Bobcat Goldthwait, but really funny, smart stuff. So I get to go out with him once in a while, and so yeah, I'm just choosing better people to be around who are positive and fun and uplift me rather than I have to pull them up up the finish line. So I'm looking forward to working with people that want to run across the finish line with me rather than me pulling them across the finish line. I mean,
so James Harrison has a nice comment here that might tie into the Kingdom Come thing. So he said, interesting. I knew James Kotak back in Kentucky while he was playing a band called Buster Brown. His style with the band was very showy and played double bass. His playing style with Kingdom Come was more open and power-oriented. Buster Brown opened for lots of signed bands where the drummers recommended James to move to LA. It's interesting how one can operate from anywhere now.
Yeah, James was amazing. It's funny. James was I play a lot like James. I mean, I've known him. I've kind of some people I worked with, whether it's like DJ Ashba or like even what's his name, Rip Owens. They've all played with it, and I got to play with those guys as well after James played. And now, like, I'm working with Kingdom Come. I was working on the recordings with Kingdom Come before James passed, for a few years, and it never got released. We're going to release something this it's going to be more early next year. We got to deal with a independent label out of New York, and James. I started recording for Kingdom Come, and James was having some health issues and this, that, the other, for the past few years, and I just was kind of, doing what I just played like him on the recording, and he was like, yeah, I approve it, and want to play on the albums. He was having some difficulty, with some stuff, and God bless him, man. He was a lot of people loved him, and a lot of pretty big shoes to fill in that band, James was an amazing rock and roll drummer, dude. He was probably one of the best rock and roll drummers that walked on stage,
Yeah. So my band opened up for Warrant a few times with James on drums, and he was just a sweetheart of a guy to me. I didn't see the crazy side of James that sometimes gets reported.
Some of the stories are pretty funny,
Yeah.
And the thing is, I think that's I was like that when I was young. So I did my goofy stuff and probably didn't help my career. I didn't land the Scorpion gig for 18 years like he did, and was able to, hey, I got to give him credit for some of the stuff I heard and knew about him, and to hold that gig that long and do some of the stuff he did.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, you had to be awesome. Someone won't put up with that shit long enough. They're like, it gets to the point where you're not performing and you're dropping the ball, you'll find out you're in the unemployment line quickly, after that. But he lived the life, man. That dude was and you're probably best to talk to the other guys from Kingdom Come. They experienced him, and I think that's where I met Danny and JB way back in LA back in the day, when even after Danny was signed to Island with Royal Jelly and stuff. And yeah, man, we took a liking. They're like, dude, you play like James, huh? I was like, yeah, cool, man, whatever, And we stayed friends, and I played on some recordings for Danny Stagg from Kingdom Come, and he was like, hey, man, we're having some problems, and we're wondering if you'd like to join the band. And then there was some other problems that weren't just with James. There was some other stuff, and it kind of put the band in a bad way with the booking agents and people not showing up, people not performing well, and put the band in a real bad spot.
Yeah.
So we are recording an album and doing some dates on the West Coast coming up here in early fall. And we're launching the band again. So we do about not a ton of dates. We were focusing on writing right now and getting this album out. And it's good. I even have Steve Brown writing on it, who was in Def Leppard and Trickster.
Yeah.
I got some guys writing on it, and we were all of us write, and we all have, great writing skills in our own right, and then we just try to form it together so it sounds like Kingdom Come, So yeah, we replaced Keith right when I decided, like when they put the press release out that I was joining the band, and I had nothing to do with that. For some reason, I got blamed for that. I didn't I don't know, man. But funny story, since we're going to segue into this.
Okay.
Wait, Bill Coyne.
Yes.
Okay. So Bill, God bless him, man. It's been 15 years last week. He's been gone. And he was my biggest, my life would probably be a lot different if Bill was still alive. Bill shot me my last record deal with Universal with a band called God, Guns, and Glory. It was from Ohio, Midwest, and he had Gene Simmons come in and work with us. And we had problems with substance and drinking, and we ended up losing that deal and never released the album. But funny story, before I told Bill Coyne I'm moving out to LA, and he's like, I think that's a great idea. You need to get the F out of here, He's like, keep the band together. We didn't lose the deal yet. He's like, I'm going to find you a new lead singer. So he puts me in, he brings Keith out, and it just wasn't a good fit for the band. You know what I mean? And I met Keith way back, like back in 2000, I think 6 or 7, you know, and I was like, yeah, just not what I'm looking for, you know? So I don't know. Me and Keith, we played a gig together, like with a buddy of mine out in LA. We just never really clicked. None of us, you know, it's nothing personal. It just was like, well, but it's funny how, you know Bill Coyne, he worked with you in a band, and he worked with me for years. And man, you know, Bill was he was my biggest cheerleader, dude. That dude was, you know, I know you hear the stories through the Kiss audio books and stuff about how great he was, and you heard how, you know, some of the negative stuff. And I didn't experience the negative stuff from him. He was an angel to me. He was such a good guy to me, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I was playing in a band here in Boise in mid 90s, and they had a relationship with Bill. And so that's how I met him. But that band was short lived for me. And then when I was back in Midline, things were going really well for us, and got Bill involved. And we learned so much from him, and took him on the road with us. And I remember even him flying into Boise to do like, you know, short show rehearsal type stuff with him. And he came out in the winter, and he said, I don't have a coat.
Yeah.
So we had to arrange for him to have a coat, because I mean, he was in Florida, so he'd come out here and like, I'm not packing a coat. You guys gotta get me a coat. You know.
Maxter, you're a card. I mean, he was. You know, what's funny is that what I thought was I loved my parents. They both passed in the same year. Both my parents, like a few years back. Everything my parents hated about Kiss. And they're like, you know, as a kid, I was allowed to listen to Kiss. You know, I mean, he became really close to my mom and dad. Like, you know, they loved to come to the house, hang out, have dinner at the house. As the guy the band you hated most, mom and dad, he's the reason why.
Yeah.
Successful. And now they just, I mean, you know, they just know that this is, you know, this guy's a great guy. It was a whole get up, and you know, he loved my parents. My parents loved him. He was a good guy. Yeah, he was a lot of fun, man. We had a lot of fun times together. And he was very insightful. He was honest with me. Like, he was very, you know, very like, it was enlightening to be around somebody who had, you know, who managed Kiss, Billy Idol, and Billy Squier, and broke them and turned down Van Halen. Do you know in 1977, whenever he had Kiss or had Van Halen come to New York and play on Kiss's equipment to watch him showcase, he told them, this is a true story, and it's on YouTube. In 1977, he said, I think you guys should get Sammy Hagar to sing for you guys.
Whoa.
I'll have to send you the video. He said this on a video. He told Van Halen that. And Eddie Van Halen, until the day he died, didn't talk to Bill. He felt slighted and shunned by Bill because Bill didn't want to take him on. And Bill said, you know, that was one of my mistakes. Maybe I should have went out to LA and watched them. But at that time, Bill was struggling with some you know, some addiction stuff, you know, and you start making all this money, you start, you know, you're not really clear-headed to make the wisest choices, you know. But then he popped out, you know, Billy Idol and Billy Squier later on, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you know, it's one of those things,
we had this conversion van and a trailer, and there was the band, and we had 2 crew guys, a drum tech and a guitar tech, and Bill. So there's like 7 of us in this van. And I asked Bill, I said, dude, you had the life, you know, you've toured the world, riding in private jets and being on tour buses, and now here you are in this van with a bunch of guys. And he's like, this is where all the action is.
Yeah. You know? Bill liked being around guys. Let's say that. Some of the stuff, like I always sit there and laugh so hard, thinking the stuff we'd kid about the gay thing and like always. There's no homophobia, and the stuff I like. The one guy in my band was like just younger, and they would do stuff to him to make him so uncomfortable. He would belly laugh and fall over like almost. He's like, dude, you guys are nuts. Like, but he was, yeah, man. What a wonderful soul. He was you know what he did? There was something that I realized, and I never verbalized it, but I realized this in my mind. Paul Stanley said this in his audiobook, which is like, he was my least favorite member in Kiss, but he's now my favorite because he's the businessman. He was diligent and he was laser focused.
Yeah.
And smart. And just he's a class act. Okay. His audiobook, he said something that I realized Bill made everyone in the band, each member, feel as important as the next one or the one who was the most important. And I knew that I was the main songwriter in that band at that time. Me and the other lead singer was dropping the ball, drinking way too much. We ended up getting rid of him. And I became the main writer and basically producer after Gene Simmons was kind of like ousted. You know what I mean? Well, I should say ousted. Just wasn't working. How about that?
Yeah. Yeah.
And he made everyone in that band feel like it's equally important. And I think that's a quality, man, that I wanted to achieve and sustain that in my career. I want to make people feel important. And everyone is. Everyone's unique, you know.
Yeah.
And all very, very needed, you know. But I really thought that was a great quality of Bill, you know. And I miss him so much. I mean, when he was passed, he was in the hospital in a coma. He was supposed to be in my apartment in Huntington Beach, staying there for a few days. And I would talk to him every few days, he was going to fly in Orange County and I'd pick him up. And I lived like basically on the beach and he loved it. I mean, we enjoyed each other. We were doing business. I didn't hear from him for a few days. So I got concerned. That wasn't like him. So I called Roman, his partner, his husband, whatever. And I was like, dude, I need to, what's going on? And he's like, Matt, he's sitting down. I'm like, oh, that's my heart was like,
right.
So I got to tell you. And so he had pancreatic cancer. And dude, when you have that, it's that the survival percentage, is very low. He went into a coma and never came out. And he was supposed to be, I'll never forget that, man. It was the end of June, and he was supposed to be at my place, and he passed away.
I'm so fortunate to have known him and worked with him, and the impact he had on my career, and like just how I view putting a show together. Yeah. And he was with us. We did a few shows with Motley Crue, and as you could imagine, there was some problems. And Bill untangled all of those, Yeah. So I got to see him do his thing, and it was pretty impressive. Yeah, and just to watch him work. And
he worked in TV before he got involved with Kiss.
Right? Yeah.
And did he? Honestly, when he was very, and it was cool. He retired, and then he pulled out a retirement and started working with the band I was with, and it was like more like, he acclimated. He was just smart dude, a little older. He knew the business, what was needed at the time.
Yeah.
And, I miss him. He was a good guy, man.
One thing that I've always been just a little bit up and down with my weight, and so he gave me a hard time about that. and we were all sitting in the airport together and just talking about like our stage performance and the stage show, and like what can we do to enhance the stage, like make the stage our own. Like, I don't know if it's props or whatever it was. We just started this dialogue, right, and talking, and our bass player said we could make the drum riser look like a giant cheeseburger. The drums would be sitting on top of it. And I mean, we laughed and laughed and laughed about that. And then Bill goes, though, this conversation is what leads to the thing that it ends up becoming. Like, just like keep those ideas happening, as ridiculous as they might be. Like, just keep throwing those out there, and you're eventually going to land on something.
Yeah.
It was just.
And by the way, no more cheeseburgers for you. Right?
That's still my cheeseburger idea, Matt.
Dude, I know. There was one night that happened, man. I kind of dropped the ball on something. We were out partying, and it's like, dude, and he'd stand there like at the counter, and and he would be doing something on the computer, sending emails out. If you want to be a good boy, you get Uncle Billy some donuts this morning, and don't talk to me until I'm not mad at you anymore. And like I'll get some donuts. He's like, and don't eat one of them. You're getting fat. I'm like, I'll show you. What a kind soul, and but yeah, all things pass, and all good things come to an end, right?
Yeah. Hey, when you were in LA, did you ever participate in the Bonzo Bash?
You know what? No, I haven't. Like, I was supposed to do one of them, and I didn't make it out. And Brian Tichy runs it, and I was referred that. So maybe next year, since I play in a Led Zeppelin ripoff band, I guess they're okay. No, everyone's like Kingdom Come. No, I'm like, whatever, dude. White Snake was kind of more like Led Zeppelin and Kingdom Come. So I've been meaning to reach out to Brian. I did some dates with Don Felder. He's playing drums, and I was out with Skinner and Six Gun Sally. So, which by the way, I'm gonna get a hold of Brian. I'm gonna contact Brian and ask him about jumping on it maybe next year. That's definitely my wheelhouse. So
yeah, I think so. I remember when Kingdom Come came out, and all my friends that were fans of Led Zeppelin were. It was kind of like crap. Now the band name just escaped me. What's the newer band that sounds a lot like Zeppelin?
Van Fleet.
What is it?
Greta Van Fleet.
Yeah. So they're experiencing kind of the same thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, they really sound. To me, you had a drummer that. Here's, in my opinion, like I said, my 2 cents is worth any penny sometimes. My opinion, Lenny Wolf is probably, this is a bold statement.
Okay.
One of the best rock and roll singers ever walked on stage, along with James being one of the best rock and roll drummers. And I don't think a lot of people would contest that. You know what I mean? Lenny Wolf, dude, he could sing the phone book and sell it. He was amazing. And his pitch was amazing. Dude, he was a pro. He was a rock star, dude. He was amazing. I mean, he was the real deal. There was no bull crap. You get a lot of bullshit and imposters that posers. Right. He was the real deal. So to me, you had Robert Plant, and I think as far as power and sustain, if he would have, they were really, they'd have had the career Led Zeppelin, half the career Led Zeppelin has had. I think Kingdom Come would probably be one of the biggest rock bands that ever, walked the stage. But internal problems, drugs, drinking, you name it, can put nails in the coffin for bands. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. It's unfortunate it happens more often than it should.
I'm thankful that people are starting to learn to take care of themselves a little better, and not be, this ain't we're not trying to kill ourselves anymore. You know what I mean? So right. But like I said, the Bonzo. I'm jumping around a little bit.
Oh, that's okay.
The Bonzo Bash thing. I'm gonna reach out to Brian, See if there's any can jump in for maybe NAMM this year. I don't know. Have you seen? I'm going to tell you. So Brian Tichy, as far as I'm concerned, I think he's probably the best rock drummer out there. He plays hard, but he has a finesse and sensibility that he knows how to pull back and work the hi-hat when it's not so bashing, and just knows how to play. It wows me every time I see him play.
Yeah.
We played a few dates in a row with Skinnerd, and Don Felder was on the date with us about last year. Dude, I'm gonna tell you, that is the best, hands down, the best band I've ever heard in my life. The singing, the playing, dude. Wow. Drums. He had this Gretsch kit. It was his backline, dude. Came tuning up, dude. I never heard anything sound so great in my life. It was his first gig with him, I think, on the road, and he just got the gig, and dude, it was flawless. It was so good, talk about being inspired,
Yeah.
Man, that dude's the real deal, and I played with Tichy, where he played guitar and I played drums on gigs. I mean, have you heard him play guitar and sing?
I haven't seen him just to where he was soloed out, but I have seen the videos with him playing guitar with the Bonzo Bash thing, and
he's a freak. He's in a great way. He's really talented, and it's his guitar playing is amazing. So he's no joke, man. He's the real deal. So that was inspiring to see that. I mean, and Don's amazing, and top-notch players, but that was probably the best band I've ever heard in my life, man. I was like,
so with everything that you're involved with your doing session work and performing, and I know that you teach. When do you find time to teach? And by the way, the video I think you messaged me this video, but you were playing guitar and you had 3 or 4 kids around you all jumping up and singing.
Isn't that fun, man? Right?
Yeah. Well, that's your enthusiasm pouring through them.
Yeah, man.
It was like watching a bunch of little Matt Muckles jumping up and down.
Yeah, it's funny. I played. So how that occurred, or how that actually happened, I taught drums to the one kid and I taught guitar to the other girl. And the little kid, that was the younger one. So end up being, I taught them every week and I'd do lessons back to back. And then the mom started taking guitar lessons. So I was just teach them, scales, guitar chords, and some theory and stuff like that, trying to get them to be able to play some chords, 3, 4 chords at the same time and have some structure. And so I taught the one kid drums. That was so a kid I grew up with, or guy, I should say. I've known since I was 5 years old. We played football together growing up. That's all his kids, and that was my lesson room at the time, And so all his kids are jumping up. And the funny thing is that we were making fun of it because for I think my 10th birthday, I bought him the Stay Hungry cassette from Twisted Sister. So we always. That was our bond, Kiss and Twisted Sister. Yeah. Said for me because I loved it, and he's like, dude, and he's like, could you teach her? We're not going to take it on guitar. I said, yeah, sure. So that's how it. So all those years back, funny how it all. That's the story behind that video. I laugh so hard. I belly laugh at it, because it's so joyful, and. Yeah.
I think I probably watched that 15 times after you sent it to me. It was really inspiring to watch, and it's contagious too. And just all those kids jumping up and down and singing along was.
Yeah,
you're doing great work, Matt.
Well, thank you. Listen, the thing that you have is, as human beings, I'm trying to remember what my dad would say. You invest in people. That's what we have, Yeah. And try to get the best out of people. Love on people, pour into them as much as you can without them drinking your cup and drinking their cup and not replenishing your cup. There's got to be that, there's a cutoff valve there sometimes, but it really is about pouring your information and your energy into people. you either put out good energy or bad energy, Holy Spirit or evil spirit. You know,
Yeah, exactly.
that between is very, very big and gray. But listen, you got to either pick one or the other. And I think it was Keith told me this from Buck Cherry. He said this once to me. I think it was him. I should know this. Okay, but he said to me one time, I was frustrated with certain things. Being around people, and I find joy just teaching. I could probably just teach 50 students a week and be like, and I did that for a long time. I used to have 60 students a week, and I didn't let it out. I was like, I'm done playing. I'm burned out by it. But as playing again and back and playing, touring and playing 4 gigs a week, and regionally, this, that, the other, like you find yourself like trying to pull people on and say, come on, man, you got to learn those parts correctly. You got to, and if you don't play them, blow my mind with something different, but you got to do something so you're not playing bad notes and you're not dropping the ball and I'm pulling you. You know what I mean? Said to me, I wish I knew who I remember, but I remember sometime he saying, and it was a compliment to me. It's funny how someone perceives you. They perceive you better than you perceive yourself. And he said, you're a Ferrari, Muckle. You're a Ferrari. He said, you are freaking fast driving Ferrari and handle stuff. At the hairpin turns, you can make it happen. You're expecting Ferrari performance from a bunch of Volkswagens in your band. And I thought, wow, that metaphorically speaking, it was like, man, and it's not that you're putting anyone down. Don't act like, the point is, though, a lot of people act like they're Ferraris and they're not. I'm not a Ferrari. I might be a Pinto. I don't know, maybe. The point is, but it was nice to hear that. But it was an honest assessment. It was like, you're expecting crazy performance, like you do yourself. When you're just not going to get it, you're just going to know where you're at and meet the people there, and don't get so bent when someone doesn't come through for you, because human beings don't always come through for you. I mean, that's what we are. We're human, and we make mistakes. So, and if you can kind of get to that point and understand that, always do your best, but understand that people are going to fail you, and it's okay. I don't think it's intentional. Some people just can't rise to the occasion all the time like you can.
Yeah. That's frustrating when you're playing with music with somebody that just didn't do their homework.
Or not only that, or act like they're fooling you. They're fooling you, like I'm like, dude, it's like a herd of cats are falling because you're playing so many bad notes. Your frequency is bringing like rodents over on stage. Okay, it's strange. And they're going, I did nothing wrong. I'm like, well, I'm gonna do Monday football tapes. We played Friday Night Lights, okay? And we're going to watch the tapes from Friday night.
Yeah.
Monday, and we're going to assess it, and we're going to try to correct it. Well, then you get that, I just when you're making good money and people are paying for the time to see you play, do your best. That's just,
Yeah.
Don't tell me you're doing your best when you're not doing your best. You know what I mean? I'm not stupid. You're not stupid.
Right.
Maybe the crowd's not bright because they're drinking and they're drunk. Like, I don't drink when I don't. I can't function.
Right.
I won't do that. I just not even one drink. So
I'd rather have water anyway. I need to hydrate.
A little flavor pack in it, like, here's my Hawaiian punch mix with 0 calories.
Yeah.
Give me a big coffee cup, an iced cup of iced coffee, and some water. I'm good, dude. I'm out.
Yeah.
All day.
Yeah, absolutely. I know this about you, that you're going to do your best all the time. You're always going to bring your A game to whatever you're doing. And so like the guy saying you're a Ferrari amongst Volkswagens, like, I just so badly want everybody around me to be a Ferrari, right?
Yeah, right.
Let me be the Volkswagen.
Let me be the Volkswagen. Let me be the ugliest guy. I would love that. And listen, no one's perfect. I'm not on a high horse. I'm just giving advice to people, like, do your very best. if you see someone is like, I'm inspired when I see someone do so well. I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to be that. I want to encapsulate that, man. I want to,
Yeah.
I want to be that. I want that, So how do I get better? But then someone else doesn't feel that same way as you. They don't feel that the need to do that or the passion, nor can they do it.
Right. Yeah.
They might be able to achieve that. So you got to meet people and remember you need each other. And like I said, I find myself, looking to go back on the road more than ever, and so I'm getting that though. So next year I'm out with Six Gun Sally. We got, I think, 27 tour dates opening up for Foreigner and Lynyrd Skynyrd.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that starts on July 13th of next year, 2026. But we're out with Artemis Pyle and Skynyrd as well in August. We're out with Artemis Pyle and like the Outlaws. It's a Southern rock band. Check them out. I co-write and co-produce the stuff and sometimes play on the stuff and
yeah.
They're a fabulous band. They're amazing. Look them up. I wrote, quite a few tunes with another guy, Ford Thurston and Dave Barb. The stuff's really good. It's charting on road country charts. It's doing well. So yeah, out with, them and then, Kingdom Come, and I'll let you know about the other LA band that contacted me. I don't want to throw anyone under the bus. Just
well, yeah. I mean, you gotta.
Hey, it's funny. You know who just called me? Mike Squire from Ugly Kid Joe. I just hit the client.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, that guy. What a phenomenal man he is.
Mark Davis, who drummed for Ugly Kid Joe, used to live here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know Mike Squire? He's in.
I don't.
He's in Loaded, Duff McKagan's band, but he's the bass player for what do you call it? And he also does the thing called couch riffs, which he'll put like famous guys together, like from one city and over here, like I did a thing with Charlie Starr, and then Keith from Buck Cherry played guitar on it, and then we had I think Jeff from Loaded from Duff McKagan's band. So we do like cover songs from different parts of the country or world, put it together, and then he mixes it together, and it's called couch riffs. And dude, it's awesome. He puts all these famous dudes together, and the recordings are awesome because you get this different perspective on how people, like we did Brass and Pocket by
Pretenders,
one of my favorite songs. And I do, when I play, I try to emulate what the hit song sounds like, the drums.
Yeah.
The other guys, kind of do their thing, and so check out Mike Squire's stuff. It's called Couch Riffs, and he's another inspiring, positive man. And the most positive people are the people that are sober, that found sobriety, and you know what I mean, to get to that point around, and that's they learn, they've been through the darkness, and they got through it, and they know there's a much better life living a certain way and healthy.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, my band's opened up for a lot of national acts over the years, and some of those bands that have been around the block so many times, sometimes the tour manager's coming in and they're doing like a backstage sweep.
Oh, dude, listen,
everything's clean, right?
Man, I remember being 24, 25 years old and being out with Aerosmith and opening up. And dude, I was like, these guys suck. They don't know how to party. They don't put you weren't allowed to have alcohol backstage. Anyway, and I was like, woo! We're like, woo, we're signed. Our singles out. Flop. We just had Marty Fredrickson wrote some of our songs on our album, and he did Jaded for them. And he's Buck Cherry's producer on a lot of stuff. And he was my guy for Cinematic for a while. Well, and Eric Valentine as well. So, but we were out with Aerosmith, and I was like, this was the worst tour ever. It sucked. You weren't allowed to do it. And it was like, no, these guys run a tight ship. They're not idiots. They did this 30 years ago, and you know, or whatever, 20, and you're not going to mess this up. It's, you learn. You're young. You're stupid, And
Right.
yeah, I know, man. I know all about that sweep. I know all about what you're talking about. And look, I don't want that crap around me. I don't want that.
No, neither do I. Yeah.
Enough. I get it. You get older, I don't want that chaos and stupid stuff, and I'm here to work,
Exactly. So I still I'm 53 and you're doing these cool shows and your friends want to know like, what's it like backstage? Stinky,
it's
dirty, lots of road cases.
It's like, hold on 1 second. I'm grabbing more coffee. Real quick. I'm just grabbing coffee. I'm with you in a second. Hold on. Yeah, it's like, wait a minute. It's not a party. It's work. That's your
Exactly.
And and I want to. I'd rather keep working than not keep working. I mean, so.
Yeah, and I'm just not into people. I guess the only word I can think of is like, you don't have a purpose being back here, so get out of here. Do you find like you need to get in your space, your mental space before you get on stage?
Yeah. Like, what happens is, like, I play a lot of casinos and theaters, so I have a dressing room. I don't really play too many bars,
Right.
If our bars, if they are, bars, thousands, they usually try to make sure there's a green room. I need my space. I just need to cool down. And here's the thing, I'm on autopilot on a lot of these bands,
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, man, the quick story. When I was playing with Kristin Chenoweth, I think I was with John Waite at the time, in that time frame. When I got called to play for Lynch Mob, I had to learn the only songs I knew. I wasn't a huge fan of Dawkins. I was a fan of George Lynch, but I wasn't a fan of like that band so much, But I did like Lynch Mob. But I didn't go out and purchase the albums. So the drummer, Scott Pilgrim, was like, "Dude, I'm going out with Ace. Can you do some like a week and a half with Lynch Mob?" I go, "Sure, man. I'll be happy to do it." So I never got to meet George, and he's like, "When's it start?" He goes, "Tomorrow." I go, and here's me. Sure.
Yeah.
Dude, listen. So I get on the phone with George, and I was like, and he's like, yeah. He's like, and I'm probably a little annoyed that the guy was like, "I'm going out with Ace," and I go, well, okay. So here's that. I know Breaking the Chains. I know Dream Warriors and In My Dreams. He goes, "I don't do any of those." I go, okay, I'll do Breaking the Chains. And Tooth and Nail, I heard it, but I wasn't like, So, dude, I had to learn 13 songs, man, in 23 hours. The first show was a disaster, dude. I had tried. Think about it, this is about 2000, maybe 2010 or something, maybe. I don't know. It's a long time. So maybe that was 12, maybe. I don't know. But however, the work ethic, man, like you're trying. So I stayed up all night, man, drinking coffee. Like, dude, I went and jumped on the RV, and I sat there. We drove somewhere in California, like 6 hours to do a first date. And I just had to keep studying the songs. And the first night, he was so nice, George. He's like, listen, I said, George, please don't take offense. I just don't know your catalog. And he's like, no, he didn't take offense. He's like, listen, I get it, So, but the next night was much better, and the next night was better. And so, when I was the fifth date, it was like, it was finally locked in. But like, I needed my space. I needed, like, those first few dates on those shows, I needed to go over those songs. I needed like space. So that's what I learned. Like, dude, that quiet time and that space, and hiding from people was everything, And here's what blows my mind. Like with Kingdom Come, I want to be the best. Like I want to sound monstrous, like the freaking tempo on the albums, heavier than we ever have sound. There's a lot of haters out there that like wanted that gig, and they'll think, why did I get it? How people get.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to prove that I deserve it. And I love when you play some of these venues and the dressing room is left up the steps from the stage, and the two bands, and you got this flimsy, crappy door separating you from the stage to the band, like 10 steps away.
Yeah.
And that the dressing room is not insulated. It's not, and that's nerve wracking,
Well,
so
you fatigues your ears, right?
Oh, my ears they're bleeding by that point,
Yeah.
So especially you're not on a tour bus, we're flying in doing dates. So everything's backline. You're up against having a drum set. It's maybe not like your normal Ludwig kits that you use. So
right.
You have a kit or a Yamaha, which is all great in their own right, but you're used to the response. So you're acclimating to that. And I'd rather not carry drums. I mean, I'm blaming. But the fact is, your ears become fatigued. You're burned out already before you go on stage. So, and then sometimes I find myself like, I'll go in the minivan and just like put, earplugs in and just try to like rest and read relax. So
one thing we learned from Bill, one thing we learned from Bill is he's like, don't hang out in the venue.
Yeah.
Like, get away. Like you do your load in and sound check or whatever, and then leave. Like, and so we try to do that. Like, I don't want to feel, I don't know if this is me, but I don't want to feel like I have to entertain people before I'm entertaining people.
Well, that's it. It's hard because I like there are so so I'm in some tribute bands that draw pretty massive crowds. Like,
yeah,
considering it's a tribute band, I don't want to say massive. Let's say around 1,000 to 1,500 people.
Sure, yeah, that's a good crowd.
I'm listening. I'll tell you, there's a lot of Nash acts that don't draw that, and so I learned that, like, dude, I'll try to do a thing. Listen, if you can stick around the end of the night, I'd be happy to go over and have a drink or water or drink. Yeah. I'll take 2 drinks out of the beer, whatever, you know what I mean? And sit with you. But I can't do, especially because you're doing like 2 sets. You're doing 2 50-minute sets sometimes. Right. I always play straight through and hang out. But yeah, man, I don't want to it's hard because I need to be on point. I'm running backtracks. I'm starting and stopping the computer. I'm doing everything. I have times written down where I'm supposed to start, stop, things. There's just a lot on my plate, and I need to stay.
Yeah, exactly. My Bill was so encouraging, like, just get away, and then show up, 15 minutes before you hit the stage, and away you go.
It's sometimes you don't have that option, as you'll talk to. So like, every situation, every town's different. So hopefully, I try to go in there and like, I don't like being uncomfortable. I like the air to be around 71, 72 degrees. Okay. So if that's very tough when I'm hitting 74 degrees, I'm aggravated. Okay.
Yeah.
I hate the humidity. I can't stand it. So dude, man, I'll take my shirt and like throw it in the freezer where I'm at and make sure there's a big fan there.
Yeah.
Dude, that's the most unenjoyable perspective other than maybe having a D-bag band member. The humidity playing these outdoor gigs,
we don't have the humidity here that you do. We're in a desert and it's pretty dry.
I am.
But I just made a reel the other day, like not using a drum kit that has a wrap on it outside when it's 100 degrees.
Yeah.
My kit's just the kit that I've got several, but I've got a DW Performance that's just a wood stained kit.
Yeah.
And sometimes when I'm setting up, it's 105 degrees outside. And that heat's just brutal on your gear.
I can't do that. I don't know how you do it. Like I play in Palm Desert sometimes, like when I didn't dude, and it was brutal, like 110 degrees. I'm like, that's stifling. Like here, if you get 90 degrees and the humidity's through, it's just disgusting. I'm a fan of it. That's why I moved to the West Coast. Like, if you live in Huntington Beach, you're there in San Diego, you're in good shape, A 1-bedroom apartment is $3,200 now, so I don't miss that, but I do miss the weather, you know.
Yeah. That's 3 times my mortgage, man.
It's absurd, dude. It's absurd. And like now Nashville's going crazy. It's starting to get really, you know. So where I'm at, that's what I'm like. I'm kind of focusing on just get myself back out there. I'm talking to some of the Nashville acts again, and they're, you know, and you know, I'm gonna start doing some more touring, you know, and I don't have to be out West Coast and spend $200 on an apartment, or be in Nashville around drunk people all day. That whole scene's just too much for me, you know.
Do you find that basically all you need to do to work right now is you have an airport and the internet?
I think so. Yeah. And it's like personal touch. Like, listen, I'm just getting back out there, and I know that, you know, I'm reintroducing myself to some people, or introducing myself, you know. Yeah, I believe that that's an easier process. Yeah. I mean, I'm making more contacts sitting from my home and emailing somebody and then talking to them and say, hey, give me a call and chat. I have a question for you. And you establish a relationship that you and I are doing right now, you know, like,
yeah, exactly.
Whatever. And so, you know, hopefully you make an impression on people that they want to work with you, and you're not a bozo, and you're accountable, you know, and
exactly
around you. Yeah.
I've been just working with some people that have some pretty good Nashville ties, and now we're looking at like going and checking it out and getting some FaceTime with some of these people and just introducing myself and seeing if I could build a relationship. But somebody suggested playing that Lower Broad scene, working those shifts, and when it was first mentioned to me, I thought, oh, that sounds pretty cool. And then I started really watching it. I'm like, man, that would be grinding.
It's a grind, and they slay people, man. It's like, you know, you can make a living, but it's a lot of playing, dude. And honestly, no offense, I just don't love playing that much. I mean, I'll be honest, I just don't. I mean, that's the truth. I need to make $1. I need to make money. I don't want to play for 4 hours straight. I don't want to do that, dude. I don't. You know, sorry, that's giving my talent away for the amount of money I have to make.
Yeah,
being foolish, and then you get burned out. So that's why I write and produce, and I teach other than playing, because it diverts that pinpointed direction, or that one aspect of musicianship, and we just play out. And sometimes I need that dichotomy, you know. I need to have that diversity that I can, you know, I have different talents in music. I don't, thank God for that, you know.
Yeah.
My ADHD probably does not help. I can't, you know, trying to stay laser focused on stuff doesn't, you know, but that I kind of like that about myself. I'm fine with it. You know, I've come to that conclusion. This is what I am. And, you know, hopefully, you know, people like it and aren't so put off by it. You know what I mean?
Well, look, I'm impressed. Your work is done, Matt. You impressed Fred Fisher.
I'm done. I'll send to every agent, man, and every band that needs a drummer. Let's go.
Yeah.
Listen, I want to thank you for having me today. And
coming on, man. I really, really, really appreciate it, and I look forward to giving you a big hug someday.
I know, man. I'll be out. I don't know. I'll probably be out with the Foreigner and what do you call it? The Skinner dates. Probably out. You know, but that's not till next summer this time. So,
right.
But I don't know. I'll definitely. So Kingdom comes out on the West Coast in mid-September, mid third week of September. We're doing like a metal festival in Flagstaff. Then we're in Orange County. Then we're in Hollywood, the Whiskey A Go Go. There's some other dates I'm out. I think that they're tentative with the other LA hair band.
Are you doing NAMM? Are you doing the NAMM show this January?
I'm going to contact. I'm going to reach out to Brian and see what's up. Right now, as of right now, no. I lived 10 minutes from Anaheim for like 8 years, so that was a lot. I mean, the first time going, I was like, oh, I'm going to go every day, and then endorsements, and I was with D-Drum at the time, and you you'd go and I was with CAD microphones, and you're meeting people, and it's great, but then it's overwhelming. So. Yeah, I probably should go out this year. I'm pretty excited. And then like Kingdom comes, since the albums probably end up probably heading back out there. Like we're hoping the album should be done and out like in January or February.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah.
Well, we'll keep in touch and we'll design a cheeseburger drum riser.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad you're doing great, man. I'm always thinking about you, praying for you. You have a great energy, and man, I love that you smile and laugh all the time. And that's just, to me, I'll hang all day with you, man, if you let me.
That'd be awesome. That would be awesome. Well, we'll end this live stream, and then I got a couple quick questions for you.
Okay, what's up?
So I'm going to end this first. Mike Arrington was here. Mike, what's up? If you're still there, and go follow Matt on Instagram and Facebook so you can keep up with what's happening with Matt, my buddy Matt Muckle. Thanks, Matt. And we'll see you all here next week, where I'm going to have radio personality Big J here from KQXR 100.3 The X, and we're going to talk about being on the radio with a
Big J.
With Big J. Yeah.
Woo!
All right, we'll see you next week.
See you guys. Bless you.